This season marks a new beginning. Witness the raw power, iconic sound, and pure speed from the historic Lotus 79. Experience the competition and glory days of early 80s open-wheel action. Watch as drivers wrestle these ground effects cars into submission. Drivers will face off wheel to wheel. For some, it's a chance at redemption. For others, an opportunity to make a statement. All sharing the same goal, to be crowned champion. Who will be victorious tonight? The Lionheart Retro Series presented by DMLC Racing Channel starts now.
From the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. It's time for Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of Season 4 of the Lionheart Retro Series presented by the DMLC Racing Channel. This is the Dewar's 150 and all the simulated retro Lotus 79 action from Green Flag to Victory Donut streams your way live as it happens right here on the iRacing eSports Network. From the motorsports mecca of the Northeast, welcome into another GSRC broadcast and the Sim Experience countdown to clam chowder and green flags. Alongside the banker Brian Yatzik, I'm Jason Galvin, joining you up here in the virtual press box for the Dewar's 150. Sean Ambrose has the director's duties when he's not chewing on those peanut butter chews, and all the great camera angles tonight come to you courtesy of Dougie Beard, who's enjoying a Dewar's Georgia special as we speak. New Hampshire Motor Speedway has long been the safe haven for racing fans in the greater Northeast and New England area. So what do you say? We take a few laps around the Magic Mile. This is your GSRC track guide.
New Hampshire Motor Speedway, sometimes referred to by the name of the town that hosts the track, Loudon. It's also usually referred to as a 1 mile oval, but the actual track length is just a few hundredths more than a mile. The facility as we know it today opened in 1990 and a lot goes on here. IndyCar and kart cars were an early fixture here at Loudon, and they were fast on this paperclip style oval. And while this still shows up on many IndyCar league schedules, the real life IndyCar doesn't come around right now, but they always flirt with the idea. NASCAR, though, has given itself a huge presence here. The Cup Series has had some interesting races over the years. The Grand National Series also makes a yearly trip with the Cup Series. The trucks don't run here right now, but they have in the past. Both East and West ARCA Tours make the rounds, and NASCAR's Modified Series featured 3 races at New Hampshire. Even the Canadian NASCAR Series comes across the border to race at the Magic Mile. The track is known for being mostly flat, but since 2002 has featured progressive banking from 2 to 7 degrees. That's led to a little bit of multi-groove racing thanks to the paperclip style and as the track surface ages in the harsh New England winters. Long straightaways mean you have to get on the binders hard, but your lap times are really dependent on when you can get back on the throttle again on corner exit, while keeping that rear end planted. Will magic happen on the Magic Mile today? Stay tuned here on GSRC to find out at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
And we'll bring back in my broadcast partner for the night, the banker, Brian Yatzik. Yes, it's New Hampshire. Talk about a tough track, but in these retro cars, you get kind of a different style of racing in the open wheel world. Dare I even say, and hopefully we don't offend the Northeasters out there, modified-esque racing with this L79 around here?
Well, Jason, you're drawing a pretty lofty comparison here, and as much as those folks up there in the Northeast will probably debate this point, you do draw a very easy comparison. If you're not familiar, boys and girls, with the New Hampshire Motor Speedway tonight, let's take a little look at it here. 2 to 7 degrees of banking in the corners, and at the bottom, you've got the flatter amount. Up towards the top is where you see that 7 degrees. So what you're going to probably end up seeing most of the night with these Lotus 79s is everybody kind of following one line. And with the reduced horsepower, much like those modifies that thunder around here, you can go most of this place as long as you got clean air pretty aggressively. So that's where we always kind of see this track every single year sneak up and kind of take you by surprise at the finishes and the racing that it can produce. The Magic Mile up here, which is actually just a hair over the 1 mile, as you saw on the one display there, 1.06. You see, those are all the fine details that we bring you here with these countdown to greens. and especially this countdown to green that's brought to you by AccuForce, or the Sim Experience AccuForce Pro V2. That is the most advanced tuning feature on the market. AccuForce Direct Drive is second only to the real thing. Check out the entire line of Sim Experience products. Head on over to simexperience.com.
Let's take a look at the championship standings here in the Lionheart Retro Series. And after the last event, which saw one Ryan Otis once again, very competitive, running up in the top 5 all night. He has opened up an 84-point advantage over Sage Karam. Little Train, Lionel Callisto sits third. Aaron Morgan currently fourth in points. And Classy Jason Bossy up 3 spots into the 5th position after a great run with a damaged race car even in the last time out. And that was at Motegi. Let's take a look now at the Lionheart Retro Series team standings. And these are brought to you by good friends at HyperX. And you'll see it's Raven Motorsports Black. This one is, so I'm from Los Angeles area, Lakers, Chick Hearn, Hall of Famer, greatest basketball announcer of all time. We were spoiled in LA. And he used to have this thing he said when games were pretty much out of sight. And, the butter's getting cool, Jello's jiggling. I'm telling you right now, this one's over with, folks. Chick is ready to repeat his classic end-of-game line because Raven Motorsports Black already 165 points up on their teammates, and Sage Karam is missing races. That's not good news for everybody else. But that battle for third's heating up. Senrock Esports has company from Avatar Auto Racing making a big run here. And Unacceptable Racing also right there in 5th.
Take a look at the Rookie of the Year standings presented by Butt Kicker. There we see that name, Classy Jason Bossy, up on top of the standings yet again. And now you will notice in that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, that's where this battle is going to be. You see Reagan there, 52 markers back. Richie Hearn, former real-world IndyCar driver, 61 markers back off the lead. And then 1 point off of him, Ricky Hart. And Malone back there, Mr. Ryan in the 6th spot. A lot of these guys always tend to race around each other. We talk about it week in and week out. That's where you start to see the closeness in this battle. But Jason Bossy starting to stretch it out just a little bit, ever so slightly, bringing himself up there into the lead for the Rookie of the Year standings. And then from there, it's Jason. As the session ends here and we head over for qualifying, I know you and I kind of have a mixed love affair with this place, and we both love Milwaukee, which is often a comparison,
correct,
to the New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Unfairly, by the way.
Unfairly, absolutely agreed. But when it boils down to it, where do you see drivers making those comparisons?
Yeah, I mean, I think the simple one is that they're both roughly a mile, right? You have the Milwaukee Mile, and this is the Magic Mile. They're both relatively thin on banking, long straightaways, sweeping corners. But to me, that's kind of where it ends. You think about driving style, and Milwaukee is a heavy brake track, even in the open wheel cars. You're using the brake pedal to help turn the car. You're hugged right around the inside. You cannot run 2x2. I'm not saying you can run 2x2 here at New Hampshire in an Indy car, but I bet you'll see it a little bit tonight in the retro car. And it's going to be hard on that car on the bottom line to be able to hold that. But as we've seen over the years, as the tires wear in this car, Yaz, and remember, tires are a bad thing on ovals here. Last night, if you watched the IndyCar race, we were pitting every chance we had to get tires. You will not see people pitting for tires tonight in the retro car. You actually want those tires to wear down. It helps loosen the car up and get it to rotate through the corners. And as I recall, the first year we ran here was a phenomenal race, and Dustin Wardlow went and smacked Alex Saunders at the end of the race, stunned everybody to steal the win. And he did it because he never took tires. I took tires at the first stop. I thought they'll never get to the end. He didn't take them. And man, those last 20 laps, Dustin's car came alive like a rocket ship, and you can really roll the outside here, especially in this car, Yaz, because of that variable banking. You get up there by the wall, and this thing just wants to shoot out of the corner.
It is kind of like riding a rocket ship out of the corners here, and you get that same sensation really across every vehicle that you drive here. I mean, I'm pretty predominantly from the NASCAR side of things, so when you kind of get that whole shot feeling, and I know in the drag racing world that you're surrounded in, you kind of know that sensation, and it's a very unique sensation. Especially being at such a short speedway. You used to get that, maybe you get that big run at the top end of, turn 2 out of Chicagoland or Texas, and you really feel alive. But to get that same kind of sensation out of, turns 2 or 4, at the shorter speedway, it's a really unique sensation.
Yeah, certainly is. And look at this, classy Jason Fossey, currently up on top of the standings right now. That's a great lap by Jason Bossy by 0.03 of a second. There you see Bobby Mikes coming across the line. Good to have Bobby back out with us here. The Meat Man making his return to the Retro Series here tonight. Got Matt Taylor right there, currently qualified 3rd. Race winner last time out in just his 2nd start.
I'm not sure if Ricky knows that we're not racing the road course tonight, but...
I was just looking at that. Yeah, Ricky Harden, not sure where you're going. Hey, here's the Candyman, Dustin Wardlow. Dustin Wardlow, winner here in seasons 2 and 3, the defending race winner. After Jake Wright took the win in season 1. It was that season 2 win I was talking about where Wardlow just drove around Saunders, who had dominated. And let's take a look at the series details. Yes?
And these series details come to us thanks to Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or a sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit www.minus273.biz. And we have a promo code LHRS, 25% off of your orders. There you see season 4 of the Retro Cars, round 11 of 18, with the 2 worst finishes being dropped. That's where you get the 2 teardrops at the end of that. The Lotus 79, the old ground pounder machine. Adjusted fixed setup. Andrew Kinsella, the setup guru of the Lionheart series, kind of has his hand in all of those elements, with cash and prizes totaling $6,671.
And the Lionheart Racing Series, powered by HyperX, the premier open wheel racing league here on iRacing. You're watching one of its 2 great series, the Lionheart Retro Series, presented by the DMLC Racing Channel. Of course, last night we had the Lionheart IndyCar Series presented by First Medical Equipment. Yaz and I both led laps within the final 4 and both lost. So I should, should tell you how our nights went.
If you didn't watch it last night, go back and find it. It was a very unique ending of that event.
It sure was. It was a great ending. Congratulations to Mike Rigney on his first career win last night in the Lionheart IndyCar Series. All right, let's take a look at the starting lineups here for this one. And then brought to you by our good friends Butt Kicker. And how about that? Classy Jason Bossy, coming off of the podium finish, gets his first career pole by 3 thou over Ryan Otis. Matt Taylor and Paul Jenkins, row 2. Forever Adam Young and Dustin Wardlow, the Candyman, in row 3. Aaron Morgan, Mike Rasmus, another rookie sensation there in row 4. Little Train and Bruno Miranda, that's row 5.
Row 6 has Chris Fowler and Tyson Landis, with Bobby Mikes and Chris Reagan rounding out row 7. Right behind them, you've got David Clymer looking to climb up from the 15th starting spot. Tom Dreiling to his outside. Scott Holmes, 17th. Series founder George Anzaldo in the 18th spot, with row 10 being James Paulson and Ryan Corns.
Moving on to row 11, and it's Ricky Harden, Tommy Ryan, the teammates, Finney DeCunha and Mike Eleanor Rigney. Speaking of the winner last night in row 12, and Richie Hearn and Sam Crow will bring up the final row here. 26 L79s will take the green flag tonight here in the Lionheart Retro Series, presented by the DMLC Racing Channel. Let's take you through the onboard cameras, and we'll start with the two-time defending race winner. We could call him the master of the Magic Mile, I guess. Dustin Wardlow, the Bakersfield native for Dewar's Candy. Chewy, peanut butter-filled taffy has been enjoyed by generations of families for over a century, and now you can get Dewar's Candy shipped to you all over the world. DewarsCandy.com.
Let's head on back to the number one machine. Ryan Otis looking on board with the HyperX camera. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. Use promo code LionHRT15 at HyperXGaming.com.
Mike Rasmus has been spectacular here since coming over the Lionheart Retro Series. Will tonight be the night he gets his first win with the Midwest Simulations on board, makers of the Spotlight's visual spotter system. You watch the track, we'll watch the rest. Use the promo code LionFan at MidwestSim.com.
And last and certainly not least, Ricky Harden in the Harden the Wall. See a little pun on the name for the channel name, number 5 machine. Watch live on Twitch. Jason, let's get this thing going, buddy.
We are ready to go here at New Hampshire. 150 miles, 142 laps. This is the Dewar's 150. The Lionheart Retro Series, and Jason Bossy stands on the loud pedal with his first career pole and brings us to the green flag. Clean so far, off into one. Bossy slots down in front of Ryan Otis. Matt Taylor gets passed up top. There's that outside line we talked about. Paul Jenkins uses the momentum. Oh, contact! It's Taylor and Jenkins. Caution out already. Taylor into the barriers. Jenkins around as well. The battle for third brings out the first caution on the opening lap. We didn't even get a half mile into that one. And Matt Taylor, who's finished up in the top 5 in both of his starts and won the last time out at Motegi, is already going to be out of contention. Here's another look at the GSRC replay. Yaz, what happened?
Just simple coming together out of the corner there. And then, you know, I'm hoping that Matt was trying to swing up in line behind Paul and just misjudged. But golly, that you could kind of draw the famous crutch of online wrecks. You could maybe argue some net code in there. It was the truth, honestly, probably lies somewhere between it. But we're talking about it, getting that whole shot out of the corner, being at the bottom lane out of those corners is not the preferred lane. So trying to get up, pull into that draft as fast as possible. And in this case, it seems like it has had dire effects.
Matt Taylor was already going to have some pretty significant right front wing damage, and he might have been okay with that until he ran into his good friend Mrs. Goodyear on the back straightaway, and that is pretty much going to do it for Matt Taylor. He's out there running around, bless his soul, because somebody needs to tell him that car does not look good right now, and there he is, Matt Taylor. You see missing the whole left front of the ring. The right front is bent. Look at the nose and the left side pod, and this is the retro car. This is not the Indy car where they will replace your nose, and then you could at least maybe get around with some damage to that side pod. That car will not look any better than that the rest of the night, and that is bad news for Matt Taylor.
Long road ahead for the driver of that machine. I mean, you know, we barely got the water hot there coming off of turn 2.
Paul
Good
Jenkins did
front.
not come in, by the way, there, Yaz, and he does also, if we can get a look at Jenkins' car here, and we'll watch the pace lights. Are they going to click off? No, we'll get at least one more pace lap here, 2 more, I should say. Paul Jenkins has a little bit of front wing damage, and he is coming to pit road this time again. They won't really fix that too much, but they're going to maybe try to beat it out a little bit. In fact, a couple cars came down this time. Sam Crow, Mike Rigney, the winner last night, is down, and here comes Matt Taylor as well. And the first time around, we had a bunch of takers, which is worth noting. Some of them gave up good track position. Tom Dreiling, Tommy Ryan, Richie Hearn, they were all at the back. But I tell you what, Bruno Miranda and Ricky Harden also came in, and Bruno Miranda started up there in the top 10 and gave that up to make an early pit stop. And so I'm going to venture over here to this handy old media guy the Lionheart Series sends us. In fact, it's probably a great time for your butt kicker race analysis since everybody's pitting already here. Why don't we see if this might be a fuel play, Yaz? And the question is, how many laps can you go? And the answer is, they say 57 to 58. in 142 laps. Let me do my quick math there, and I don't really get the point of this. Yaz, do you?
No. Sorry, for lack of better words, I don't.
I think you need to run 30 laps to two-stop it, essentially.
Well, you got to get to 60, and we're actually at 150 laps now that I'm just noticing on the actual.
Oh, that's interesting.
On the actual session.
Oh, that's very interesting. That was a mess up. The race session is built 8 laps longer. Great catch, Yaz. The race is supposed to be 142 laps. That's advertised. This place is slightly bigger than 1 mile. And so 150 miles is supposed to be 142 laps. And Brian, you are in fact correct. The race session was apparently built for 150 laps. So we're going to give you 8 free laps here tonight. I tell you what, we'll declare a winner at 142. And if it's a different one at 150, we'll split the points right down the middle, okay?
Oh, good. Perfect.
All right, here we go. Pace car going to peel off here. That iRacing Ford Mustang swings off, and classy Jason Bossy gets a second chance to lead the Lionheart field to the green here at New Hampshire. Let's see if this one is a little better. We've yet to get to turn 3 under green. Of course, we've only tried it one time. You see some cars fanning out back there, about 7th, 8th place on back as we head into turns 1 and 2, and so far looking good. But here's where we had trouble on lap 1.
And you're going to see that gaggle coming off of turn 2 there early on these restarts. Is probably going to be the opportunity to strike when everybody's compacted in there together. Maybe pick up a little bit of aero wash from the aero wash advantage, where you can actually get around it because everybody's up in that preferred lane. We've made it 1 lap, so that's marking that one down already. Good side-by-side battles all over, too.
So Mike Rasmus taking a look at Adam Young, the GSRC broadcaster. That's the battle for 4th. Adam Young up top, one of the riding shotgun cars. Rasmus to the bottom, going to try to clear him, and does so. But that move by Mike Rasmus. Who says you can't pass on the bottom in one of these cars early on, yes?
That's a pretty power move right off the bat, looking back. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're kind of talking about. You get them early on the restart because you know as this run goes on, it's going to just get increasingly harder and harder to make those moves. Strike early and then be able to cruise around for a little bit.
Single file all the way back through the field right now. And let's look at the 9th spot. They're fanning out a little bit there. That's Chris Reagan up top, the green and silver car. Tyson Landis, George Anzaldo right there, the butt kicker HyperX black and red entry.
Oh, Landis. That was looking aggressive out of the corner. Landis was looking to clear himself up, but Chris Reagan keeping that forward momentum. Good side-by-side battle, 2x2. If you
David Clymer, wow. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, right behind him. Almost just got into George Anzaldo. In fact, Anzaldo, kudos to him. He saw it coming and moved up the track and then actually heard Anzaldo's exit of the corner and allowed Clymer to get right back. And they might have touched. If they make contact, it was awfully close. David Clymer licking the stamp here. And look at George is going to try to get him back. Clymer shuts the door. And who else has joined this party? That's Ryan Corns.
Oh, here comes George with the fire and back into the corner. George trying to build that momentum up. You see just right there, you get that whole shot out of the corner. George really having to stay close to that rear tire, trying to pull some semblance of air towards the front, side by side, down to the corner, and he's going to get it back.
How about that move by George Anzaldo? The old series founder still has something left in the gas tank here. Moves back up into the 12th spot. So I'm going to jump ahead now to the battle for 5th, and that is Adam Young trying to hold off Aaron Morgan.
Aaron Morgan, the silent assassin, as he's kind of taken that moniker throughout the season. Just very quietly goes about his work. A good qualifying effort, still side by side here, trying to get one more step up the standings page, get up there and see what he can fight. We've seen that number 48 machine have a lot of speed in the later stages of the events.
Adam Young hanging on for now. Working lap number 13 of 150 now. In this extended Dewar's 150 here at New Hampshire. Up front, you're missing not much. I know Jason Bossy's got a lot of fans, and he has checked out as Adam Young going to have to defend again. This is Aaron Morgan you're on board with. Aaron Morgan not going to get it done quite yet.
Struggling to keep that momentum from the bottom. There you go. Going there, slide job.
Gave him the old Sammy Swindell into turn 1, and That's one spot for Aaron Morgan. And Adam Young's slide back continues. Now his teammate, Lionel Callisto, we call him Little Train, will try to line up and take a shot at his teammate. On to pit road is Matt Taylor again in that damaged race car. You might have saw him flash by. We'll have to see. He might be giving it the old park job here as he brings it down. Those cars that pitted in the back, by the way, but keeping an eye on them, Yaz, they have gone nowhere.
They've stayed right at the back. Richie Hurd, first one on, we'll say first one off of pit road, right at the 18th spot. Mike Rigney, the winner last night, right there at 19th, 20th. Bruno hanging out back there in that number 91 machine.
What if Bruno just went to the back because he's like, gosh darned it, I'm tired of these guys realizing I'm up front, and then they go to me, and then somebody wrecks me. Because I feel like that has happened to Bruno, and there's our boy Bruno Miranda. Like every race this season. Is that Paul Jenkins trying to make a move? It is. Jenkins looking a little racy there. Even that front wing bent just a little bit. Paul up a spot. Well, actually, Bruno Miranda's got a bunch of rear wing damage, Yaz. Where did that come from?
That must have been, I'm going to say, some kind of stack up from the first incident. Or I don't know. I don't know where he would have gotten that damage.
That actually happened, and we're not going to be able to see it, but I'm just going to update everybody here. That happened on lap 12 with Paul Jenkins.
Oh.
Bruno got up the track off of 4, bounced off the wall, lifted, and Paul ran him over, and that's where that damage is from. As we check in on the battle for 7th here.
Adam Young not really maintaining that good qualifying effort, starting 5th, not necessarily working his way forward, falling back, just not being able to get a good feel in the steering wheel of that 12 riding shotgun machine. Looking at Chris Fowler looking to get that spot away. It's just
Chris Fowler, I think, newest admin member of Lionheart, if I heard that correctly.
Yeah, and the filed under the out of left field announcements from last week.
Which was, hey, look, I'm all for it. Anybody who's going to help this league out, sign me up.
Absolutely.
Fowler trying to make a move here. He's up to 8th right now. Just behind him, the return of Bobby Mikes and trying to hold off Chris Reagan.
These drivers were in the HyperX Summer Shootout Series. You saw here last Sunday. Bobby was in there. Chris Taylor was in there. Adam Young. Ryan Otis. Good. It was a fun event driving the Ford GTs at Milwaukee.
Sad I missed it. It's my father's birthday, so hoping to be back for the next one. I think we're at a road course next, right? And then we finish up at Indy, I believe. So
Road America and then Indy.
That's right. Okay, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, coming up next month in September.
Fowler inside of Young. Sorry, go ahead. Yes, it's here live on GSRC, right?
Absolutely.
Who's the broadcast team for that, Yes? Do you know?
It was, well, last week was Justin Prince and Sam Ryman.
Oh, that's a good broadcast team.
That absolutely is a good broadcast.
That is the regular team, I'm told. Yeah. Justin Prince is a plus play-by-play guy. I've gotten to know him pretty well here over the years. Does a lot of other sports like myself. Really fine young Canadian, I do believe. Sam Ryman, longtime supporter here of Lionheart. By the way, I guess we bring up Sam Ryman. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, and it was brought up last night on the IndyCar broadcast, that last night we lost a good friend of many of us here in the Lionheart series, some more than others, specifically Sam Ryman and my broadcast partner tonight, Brian Yazik, and we lost Bryce Whitson. Long time battle with cancer, 3+ years with leukemia that Bryce fought it off. Bryce Whitson was a employee at Hendrick Motorsports, became good friends with Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson and some of the drivers there throughout his battle. And we want to send out our heartfelt condolences to his wife, Rachel, and to his good friends. Like I said, Sam, I know, lived with them for a while. Brian, I know you and Bryce were very, very close and were teammates for a long time over on the stock car side of things. Great young man. We lost him way, way, way too soon. And I think it goes without saying that cancer absolutely sucks. Our condolences to Bryce Whitson.
I just, it's just remiss to not bring up this story. We mentioned Bryce working at Hendrick Motorsports, and when the series rolled through the Michigan International Speedway a number of years ago, Bryce was able to get me some backstage or garage passes, to which allowed me to have a wonderful moment with my father, where Dad recognized Richard Petty running through the garage, and my almost 70-year-old father turned into a 18-year-old teenager seeing Richard Petty. And I watched that man sprint across the long way through the garage to chase down Richard Petty to get Richard Petty's autograph. And I wouldn't have that memory without Bryce. And that was that was the kind of Bryce. That was the kind of guy that Bryce was. Just do things for people that he didn't have anything to gain from the situation. Just did it because it was right. It's unfortunate that he is the world does not get to enjoy his company.
Amen to that, Brian. Amen to that. That's a great story about you and your father there. Bryce was a first-class gentleman. I had the opportunity to race against him a couple of times back in the old PRL days, Brian, right before he got sick, and just a fun guy to hang around. You know, you, Michael Krobach over at LPM, James Krahula, Sam, a lot of guys that are involved and associated with the Lionheart series who knew Bryce very well and will certainly be missed. We're watching a battle that continues right here. We've been watching this one for several laps between Adam Young and Chris Fowler. That's Fowler in the blue and white car trying again to get around Adam Young. This has been a never-ending story for Chris Fowler, who just can't find any grip down there on the bottom of the racetrack. He gets the run, and then he can't get around Adam Young. This is for 7th and 8th. We're currently working lap 30 of 150 here in the Dewar's 150 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And up front, it's been all classy Jason Bossy, your pole sitter for the first time in his career. He's led every one of the 31 laps now. He's also been the fastest car on the track. A 26:49 with a 9 was his best lap.
Oh,
Ryan Otis
Adam
second.
Young.
Adam Young is in the wall. No
Out of
caution
turn
yet.
4.
No caution.
You know, sometimes you fly close to the surface, or what is it? You fly close to the sun, you're going to get burned. And I think that's what happened to Adam Young right here. Just trying to get every inch of racetrack. And unfortunately, a half inch beyond what he was trying to get was a concrete wall.
With a Chris Fowler on board, might be enough for the patented Lionheart diaper change moment of the race there. In fact, Adam just apologized to Chris, told him not to worry about it. Adam is in to pit road. Going to have that number 12 riding shotgun car looked at, and that thing has some pretty serious damage, not just to the front wing, which is collapsed in, but the suspension's a little tweaked as well. And we're going to check in here on the Chris Reagan-Tyson Landis battle, which suddenly is a battle for 9th with Adam Young's misfortunes. Let's see if Adam Young decides to park that race car. He's down on pit road, I think, seeing what the pit crew has to say about it. Matt Taylor has retired. Also of note, Bruno Miranda retired as well. So they are the first 2 cars out of this event. Adam Young now the only car running a lap down as he sits in his pit stall still, having that race car looked at and worked on, and is yet to make a decision there. Battle for 12th now as they head off into turn 3. And this is a long group of cars. David Clymer, Scott Holmes, Fitting DeCunha, James Paulson, Richie Hearn, Mike Rigney, and Paul Jenkins. Jenkins, Rigney, Hearn all came to pit road on that opening yellow. And remember, Paul Jenkins has been involved in 2 separate incidents so far. Neither of them have been his fault. And still is just trucking along, at least hanging on to the back of this line here. So that's rather impressive.
Well, you know just as well as I do, Jason, hit something in these cars a couple times and still being able to roll without having to fight the steering wheel or feel like you're going to wreck. That's a pretty good accomplishment. I mean, hey, I hear the battle for P8's going up. Let's take a look at it. Bobby Mikes has the position. Chris Reagan wants it. battle of the hot dog cars. If you're color-wise, green, the yellow, the reds, it's there. I'm sorry, boys and girls, but it's close.
The yellow and orange of Bobby is it is a unique palette, that's for sure. Like pastel yellow and orange.
This is just kind of how this race ends up being once the tires set in and the fuel burns off. It's just very hard to get that run. So you might see those gaps close. Like Mike Rasmus last time ran the fastest lap on the track, but what you're going to find out, though, you can run those fast laps, and until you get into the pack, you kind of don't have anywhere to go with it. It's like a dog racing a car. What do you do when you get there?
Well, again, remember what we talked about, how this car, once the tires totally fall off, actually gets better in the draft. And so now you're kind of in the patience game, right? You're just going to wait unless you get a caution and a chance to make some moves on a restart in the pack, let somebody else get aero washed, make a move on them. You're pretty much riding at this point. It sounds silly until the probably final fuel run of the race, and then things might really come alive.
You're absolutely right. We've seen it before, and that's where in that final third of the race, that's where the last 2 years Dustin Wardlow has really shined. It seems like he puts himself in a spot to be a threat then, because that's what he knows when the car is going to be the best for him. So fans of Bruno Miranda, unfortunately, we have to report Bruno has parked it and disconnected. That wing damage, apparently too much to keep pushing on with.
Lotus now the fastest race car on the track. Ran a 26.409 last time around, although Jason Bossy just in front of him ran a 26.433, so not like Ryan is chasing Bossy down. This is the HyperX onboard for your defending series champion, the Oregonian and the autocross champion extraordinaire, Ryan Otis. See just how close Dustin Wardlow and Mike Rasmus, for that matter, are just behind them there. Mike Rasmus has not let Dustin Wardlow get out of his sights, and this has been really impressive to watch these four: Bossy, Otis, Wardlow, Rasmus. They are checked out. They're going into turn one. Fifth place just got to the line. That's Adam Morgan. We're talking about a third of the lap gap between fourth and fifth right now. Tom Dreiling coming to pit road here, lap 42, so this is in the pit window, and Dreiling was just getting lapped.
Dreiling back on pit road.
Came in on the lap one caution, and now he's in again.
It must be some kind of damage to the car. I don't have a strategy play there to make it work out. See Chris Reagan on screen, not being able to really close up that gap to Bobby Mikes, and to Bobby's credit, he's been pushing that gap out just a little bit. They've been trading lap times, but Bobby has been able to make that go.
Ryan Otis into the threes for the first time, 26.39, and boy, was that Chris Reagan who just reached out and tried to autograph the wall off turn 4? Sure looked like
I think so, yeah. Eagle-eye viewers at home are going to notice in the top right corner, we're going to have when a driver sets the best lap of the race, going purple as it's called.
Case in point.
Look at that, just like on cue. Here at the end of the run, looking over the shoulder of the Candyman, because of course, who can set the fast time? The Candyman can, with that Dewar's machine.
Especially at this track. Dustin, I spent some time with Dustin Monday and Tuesday. We headed over to the coast. We both live in Bakersfield, California, where it's I think it was a brisk 103 today. Really cold. We had to break out our sweaters based on what the last couple of weeks have been like. And so we headed over to the coast on Monday and Tuesday. Took the ladies with us. It was his lovely lady Seclinda's birthday, and we spent some time over there, and Dustin was really, really excited for this race, and rightfully so. It's the Dewar's 150. He's the two-time defending winner, so it makes sense, but man, he feels really, really comfortable at this track in this car, and it's great to see him having a good run up here in P3 right now.
Something of note, let's go and take a look at Classy Jason Bossy leading the field. And you're going to notice it with some of these camera angles. Jason isn't that too terribly far away from the back half of the field. So with the fuel window that we've already established being around 57 laps, they had that caution early. So maybe stretch it out to 60. So Jason's got 10 laps before he's going to have to pit. And the first car that he is going to catch is the 10 of Sam Crow. Sam running a 2670, well, that time an 85. Versus Jason running a 35. So at that pace, it's going to get real interesting on when you have to make that call to get to pit road, because do you try to maybe short pit it and get away from the back half of the field, or do you try and run it long to hit your window and just kind of deal with the ramifications?
Slide back here and take a look at 14th on back, and this is Finney DeCunha, who is in 14th, and just behind him is James Paulson and Richie Hearn and Mike Rigney and Paul Jenkins. They're all right there in that gap. Finian's kind of out a little bit on them, but then Paulson, Richie, Rigney, Jenkins, that's a four-car battle. Got to keep an eye on the aero push here, this close as all those cars are running. I'm impressed at just how tight Mike Rigney is running to the back of Richie Hearn, being able to control that car up out of the corners. And even Paul Jenkins finding a little bit of run down there, about a half lane down, and you see him poking his nose out, that black and gold car of Jenkins.
Started calling that car the Black Knight. I feel like it's been through battles, and just like the Black Knight in Monty Python, come on, I'm still going at it. Just 'tis but a flesh wound. You're gonna do bite me to death? And there you go. Quality Monty Python references, the exact thing that you thought you would watch on the Global SimRacing Channel here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yeah, we just got removed from the iRacing Sports Network. I just checked. Take a look at Ricky Harden, who has not been hard in the wall yet. Hopefully he won't be. Love that streaming name, though.
I mean, if
Ricky's
if
not
perfect.
having the race Ricky wanted to have. He started 21st. He's up to 20th. And that's not good, because three cars that started in front of him are out of the race. So that means he's actually lost positions so far. Remember, he came in on that first round of pit stops.
Well, if you look just adrift of the back of that number 5 machine, you'll find the back half of the field, and more importantly, you're going to find the leader who has now caught that traffic.
And what you're going to find, even more importantly than that, as Jason Bossy catches that traffic, is all of a sudden Ryan Otis is starting to creep up, and that is because Jason Bossy is stuck in Sam Crow's aero wash. Bossy's lap times, which had been rolling down in the 3s, are now consistently in the 5s, and Ryan Otis and Dustin Wardlow are clicking off low 4s and high 3s still, and they are starting to reel in Jason Bossy about a tenth of a second every lap. Problem is, eventually they're going to get to the same spot Bossy is, where they're just stuck as Sam Crow goes low, and this is going to allow Bossy to put a car lap down for the first time in this event on the track.
Now Sam is going to get in there, and that's going to be Jason's best friend right now, because for at least a lap or two, Ryan Otis is going to have to deal with the same airflow and the same having to move around, because it looks like just looking ahead up the road, they do kind of run a similar groove coming through at least 3 and 4.
And we got to start keeping an eye out for pit stops here as well. Pit stops are a-coming, and they're
Aaron
coming
Morgan.
quick. Speaking of, Aaron Morgan out of the top 5 onto pit road.
At 59 laps to a tank for Aaron there. I cannot imagine everybody else who hasn't stopped yet is going to be too far away, unless Aaron's going for the undercut, maybe stuck behind a couple cars and go, hey, maybe I can get some clean air and leapfrog them on the other side, because passing cars on pit road is way easier than passing them on the track.
Remember, Aaron Morgan was in 5th, so he was about a third of a lap behind Mike Rasmus in the 4th spot, and he was battling. And here comes Ryan Otis this time by. Here comes Jason Bossy. Here comes Ryan Otis. Dustin Wardlow is going to get another lap out of it. So is Mike Rasmus, but your first 2 cars are in. Jason Bossy had led every lap of this one. Dustin Wardlow ticks off a lap led and the bonus point there. And Bossy and Otis, so important here for Jason Bossy to not mess up this pit stop.
Well, and the interesting thing, Ryan called the pit stop out, and I think Jason reacted, because it didn't look like Jason was going to try to stop that lap. Fuel only and away.
And Bossy with a great stop. Yes, he's going to even pull Otis so far.
Wow.
Look at Jason Bossy. Bossy's going to pick up a bunch of time on Otis on pit road. And here comes the Candyman. Out of the lead, Dustin Wardlow going to slow that race car down. He's going to bring Mike Rasmus with him. There goes Bossy and Otis back around. And that gets them back on the lead lap. And so now let's see if those extra laps out for Wardlow mattered. Keeping an eye on Bossy and Otis here. As you watch the pit stops, I'll watch Otis and Bossy for you. There's Ryan Otis into turn 3. Bossy's ahead of him by about a second and a half. Here's Dustin Wardlow.
Bossy back to pit road. Bossy back to pit road.
Jason Bossy to pit road. He made a mistake. He got a penalty. He must have got a penalty. Either he didn't fuel it or he got a speeding penalty. And Jason Bossy, from what should have been the lead and a dominant position, is on pit road. Oh, Canada. Did he not put fuel in it yet? No, he was on pit road. This is a long stop and go.
15. Well, something else is going on.
Wow, stunning development for Jason Bossy, who's still sitting there, still on pit road. Unbelievable.
30 seconds, but that was... Would that be a blend line? Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of.
That is.
But where is...
The blend line is off of 2. I'm going to go back and look. We'll stay with the race. Let me go back and look.
Battle for 6th, which is really going to boil out to being the battle for the lead. Ryan Otis is in control of the 6th spot. Dustin Wardlow just behind him. In front of Otis is Ryan Corns. Paul Jenkins, Ricky Hart, Tommy Ryan leading. Remember, those are 3 drivers that pitted early at that first caution, stretching that fuel out. Ricky to pit road this time, maybe trying to grab a little bit of extra strategy here. Ricky and Tommy, known for definitely marching to the beat of their own drum.
I do believe Jason Bossy had a blend line penalty, and it was not egregious. He got the right sides up on the yellow line, but we know there are some tracks in iRacing where that's all you need to do, because the yellow line is right on the racing surface, and so the outside part of the sidewall of the tire will kind of touch the racing surface, and that's all you need. And that's the only thing I can see watching that entire stop that would call for that long of a penalty. And you talk about heartbreak. Jason Bossy was dominating this event, and he is now a lap down and then some. In fact, he's the next car in front of Ryan Otis as Dustin Wardlow gets around Ryan Corns here. Candyman sitting there in P2. Ryan Otis got away from him there while Ryan Corns was in the way. Although Otis going to hit a little traffic here now with Tommy Ryan. In fact, unless we get a yellow, the leaders are going to be stuck in traffic for the rest of this race, basically.
Oh, yeah, it's just, I glanced over at the track map, and there's the big wad, and it just happens to be right around the leader. Now you look right up that, look at the camera angle. You see a couple in front. I think we're going to get the sweeping angle this way, and you're going to look forward and see just what Ryan Otis is going to have to deal with here for the next segment of this race.
That is ugly. On board with Ryan Otis.
To see just up the way, just a steady stream of cars. You're going to see a little bit better here off of turn 2. But yeah, just that's, you get to look forward to that for the next 50 laps. It's like when you merge off of the expressway, you merge off the on-ramp, and you see brake lights all around you. And you know kind of how the next part of your life is going to go.
Otis now stuck behind Tommy Ryan, and that's allowing Dustin Wardlow and Mike Rasmus to try and close in. Wardlow not really knocking any time off of Otis so far. We'll see how this lap looks as Otis goes inside of Tommy Ryan. Tommy Ryan's trying to stay on the lead lap. He's going to battle, and he's got every right to do it, and he's going to hold off Otis here, and that should allow Dustin Wardlow to start to close the gap.
Tommy Ryan taking a fancy little line there. Oh, jumped the cushion just a little bit, trying to get all that speed off of the corner exit. I was trying to work in a, Tommy Ryan, Tommy Sweet, I don't know, there's a song that Tell Me Lies song, Tommy Ryan, Tell Me Lies. I was trying, and it just didn't.
Tell me sweet little lies.
Yeah.
Tell me sweet Tommy Ryan. That sounds kind of weird, to be honest.
It does sound a little weird.
Yeah.
Not the weirdest thing I've probably said on air.
Not even in the last 20 minutes, probably.
Looking around, is kind of settled out to the middle part of this race. Everybody's just trying to get through, log some laps. Still only one caution. So, with that being said, Adam Young, we've been able to pull you away from the pit box for a moment. So what happened there out of turn 4,
just
Adam?
grabbed the right rear, just grabbed the wall, and of course the thing that it does in these cars, it likes to hop, skippity, jump, act like a bunny against that dang wall, and did everything I could to keep it up there, not bring out a caution, slid in front of George, but that's because it either did that or slid into the inside wall, and there would be a caution. So, but that's the thing is, cars tough and dirty air. I was just kind of biding my time and seeing what we had on pit stops and trying to save a little bit of fuel, and just being difficult to pass while giving room at the same time. And at least I accomplished that. But it seems like I'm spotting for Lionel a little bit more than I'd like this season, guys.
I mean, that's you got to help out. You got to help out your brothers when you got that opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. He's having a great season. I've got my 3 best tracks in the entire calendar coming up right in a row with Iowa, Gateway, Michigan. Of course, I hold the race record there at Michigan. So just hoping for a good stretch of a couple of weeks. But man, it's going to be crazy if this cars is different this year. Those tracks is this year here at New Hampshire compared to last year. It's going to be a totally different races for those.
Yeah, as you thought I was bad at dropping little, subtle galvanisms in there, and there's Adam Young just with of course, I hold the race record at Michigan.
Yeah, I gotta gloat where I can. I don't have a lot to gloat about.
Hey, I've made a career of it.
The weird part
Mike
is
Rasmus here.
It's on his LinkedIn profile too. That's the strange part.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll tell you what, Jason Bossy right now is holding off Ryan Otis, and I don't know how much Ryan Otis likes it, but I think Jason Bossy's trying to hope and pray, and this time by Otis gets around him. Bossy's going to try to undercut him.
Just kidding. I found that.
I'll be honest with you, I was kind of wondering what would happen with Jason once he got into kind of dirty there. Of course, I don't know what happened to him on the pit stop there. All of a sudden, I see him and he's 2 laps down, but he's had a fast car in practice and everything. But I tell you,
that he had a unsafe pit exit.
Oh man,
dropping a wheel over the yellow line.
But I'll tell you, there's nobody better in dirty air in this league than Ryan Otis. Everywhere you go where there is a flat track with dirty air, he is going to be competitive, and it's just fitting right now to see him up in the lead.
You see him navigating turns 3 and 4 and slower traffic. But James Paulson a lap behind the leaders.
It's a new scheme for James Paulson. I think Tyler Graff whipped that up, if I recall. Finally got James away from that red, white, and blue. Nothing wrong with the Star Spangled Banner colors, but he'd been rocking that same paint scheme since race 1, season 1, I do believe.
And, you know, Ryan Otis getting ready to lap Mike Rigney. I don't know if you guys had talked about it last night, but that fantastic win for Mike Rigney in the fuel mileage race last night. Man, that was a great
we talked about it, and then we both put it away real quick because I don't know if you recall.
because
the last two people to lead laps in that race. Yeah, the last two people to lead in that race, not named Mike Rigney, are both in the booth right now. So.
Yeah, but I'm not afraid to bring that back up on YouTube.
Yeah, we know. Hey, I made my bed early, okay? I got out in front of Adam and Andrew, and I told everybody on the team who just pulled off right there. That is Tyson Landis. What just happened? He must have gotten to the wall. Off of 4? Sure did. Huge, yeah. Tyson Landis knocked the wall over coming out of turn. Hey, he pulled an Adam Young.
Yeah, no, he didn't do it with as many style points as I did it, though.
We are on board with Tyson Landis, who was running up there in the top 15 and look at all the wheel. Oh.
He did a great job hanging on with broken rear axle, it looked like, or broken rear.
I mean,
Tyson Landis has retired from this race.
Oh, let's go back. Jump up there to Ryan Otis. Sheesh. He is up there. He's got Ricky Hart, Mike Rigney around him. And they're having a battle, and Otis is trying to get through. Rigney's giving up the ghost and says, all right, you just go on by. Otis was up there
sitting there going, no, Mike, I'm shipping you to wars.
Now, I'm going to get back on the pit box here for Lionel for a few minutes, but I'm going to leave you guys with this parting note that Dustin Wardlow, don't count him out of this thing. He was able to pull off 25/8 in the practice session on his second stint, just right before this race. So he's got himself a fast car. I think, between him and Ryan Otis, I think it's going to come down to the line between them if this thing stays green.
Adam, it might not surprise you to know this, but Dustin Wardlow has won this race each of the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, I know. I think I called it last year or the year before. I can't remember. Oh, it was the year before, 2 years ago.
Because I think I finished third in that race behind he and Alex Saunders. So
but anyway. All right, well, hey, I appreciate you guys bringing me in here for a little bit, and I'm going to go back and hopefully see if we can get Lionel top 5 tonight.
All right, Adam, thanks for jumping in there. Adam Young, boy, got a car. I almost caught the wall in front of Wardlow back there. We just moved on back to P7. Who was that? That's James Paulson, I think, who just had a oh my moment. This is Bobby Mikes and Chris Reagan into turn 3. This is a battle for the 7th spot. These two have been glued together all race, and they just keep picking up spots. By the way, Jordan Zaldo's there now for 9th. How about that? George to the inside of Reagan.
Trying to get that drive off, just not quite there. Trying to maintain that side-by-side down to the corner. Enter low, cut it, and just try to, as soon as you kind of hear clear, oh, goodness, everybody got really tight off the corner. Reagan with a big run, though. Nowhere to go with it. Back under attack by Zaldo, who's trying to get 2 for the price of 1.
A twofer.
You got one working on the other. Boy, look at that.
Man, the Robert Kraft special for George Anzaldo gets around Bobby Mikes and Chris Reagan.
George is going, I don't know what you guys are talking about. You can pass.
And look at that, just checking out now. George Anzaldo driving away from Bobby Mikes and Chris Reagan got to be looking at each other right now going, the two of us have been wheel to wheel since the green flag and can't get away. And George just blew by both of us and said, bye.
Usually how those events work.
Boy, George Anzaldo just ran a 26:25, fastest lap of the race to the series founder, George Anzaldo. Hey-o.
Where did that come from? In traffic, in amongst cars, like he shouldn't have been able to run that lap.
Good for George. Hey, I talked to George last night after the IndyCar race. He was feeling really good about tonight.
Oh.
Chris Reagan to pit road. Chris Reagan to pit road. We're in the window.
Yeah,
Window's open.
Yeah, you know what? Try running something different. Because if you do what the leaders do, you're going to finish behind them. So why not take a roll on the dice and see, hey, maybe this will work out, maybe it won't. Take your shortstop now, get rolling, and then tell the crew, all right, pack it up, boys. It'll be very interesting. So Reagan was back there about the 8th spot. We're going to have to see at the end of the race how that is going to work out for him.
Goes a lap down and then another half a lap at that.
I think really no matter where you pit from, you're gonna lose that lap under
Definitely
three.
lose a lap, yes. Looking at Dustin Wardlow, he's trying to get around the lap car there of Ricky Harden. And that's Mike Rasmus, who's right behind Wardlow, making sure he doesn't make a mistake. What do you say we do our driver profile here tonight? And our driver profile for the Dewar's 150 is the driver of the Dewar's Special, the Sim Experience driver profile for Dustin Wardlow, the Candyman. 63 career races, 4 wins, including Indianapolis in Season 1, 2 poles, 20 top 5s, 34 top 10s. His first start was at Homestead. His last win came at Auto Club in the season finale last year. So Wardlow's won here twice, Auto Club in Indianapolis in his retro career, and he gets around the lap car of Ricky Harden that time, and now we'll try to put some distance between himself and Mike Rasmus, who's stuck behind Harden. Working lap 98 now, 99 rather, as they come across. So next time by, we'll throw triple digits up. And how about that? Candyman on cue, 26:18. You heard Adam Young say he was putting down 25/8 in a practice session. 26:18 for Wardlow. And Rasmus gets around Harden. So Wardlow opens up that gap by about 5 more car lengths and now has to go back to hitting his marks perfectly. 1 lap car between Wardlow and Otis, Finney and DeCunha, and we're looking at 9th place now. And this is Bobby Mikes again with Scott Holmes this time, and Richie Hearn has caught up. And then Chris Reagan, who hit to get away from Bobby Mikes, is just behind both of them. Chris Reagan's got to be thinking to himself, that's not what I intended on happening.
Just sometimes, you try and run something different, try to get away from everything, and just end up right back in a wad. Like, all right. George Anzaldo going back purple
again, yeah.
A battle for the fastest lap, which is great for us. I mean, we're
between
inside
teammates.
the final segment. Yeah,
Anzaldo and Wardlow teammates.
Wardlow is closing that gap up to Brian Otis ever so slightly.
Richie Hearn inside of Scott Holmes for a spot in the top 10. Richie's going to get it. Clears Holmes up off of 2. Sets his sight now on Bobby Mikes and a clean internet connection. And probably not in that order. How low Richie is running in the corners, yes.
Yeah, that's an impressive line he's taken. Started back there in the 25th spot, knocking on the door to the top 10. It's a good run from Richie.
It's kind of working.
Yeah.
Bobby got a little better run that time off the corner, but Richie hangs right with him. 48 laps to go, and we are in the pit window for the final time. In fact, I think Tommy Ryan is going to take advantage of that, coming to pit road. George Anzaldo goes purple again, 26.069. George out there running qualifying laps right now.
He's got the best spot in the track. He's got no one around him. The closest car in front of him is just exiting turn 2 right now, and Aaron Clymer behind him just turned into turn 1. He's got a whole section of the track to himself right now.
That's crazy. I mean, literally, he has a third of the track to himself, and the other 20 cars that are still running are all bottled up over about 0.4 of a mile.
Now, here's the bad news. He's 17 seconds behind Ryan Otis. So, he's running this, and it's a great effort. But
I told George before the race, I said, go get a win. He said, I don't know if I have that, but I think I got a top 5. He's up to P7. 6th is Chris Fowler, and that's actually the next car on the track for him. Then Aaron Morgan's in 5th, but he's also enthralled in a wheel-to-wheel battle with Sam Crow, who, newsflash, is a lap down. George into the 25s, a 985. 25.985. David Clymer just went 26.0. Nobody else has even been in the O's until Dustin Wardlow just, of course, shut me up. Goes 0.88. But how about that? George Anzaldo has over 1/10 of a second on the field right now.
Some impressive laps of the driver of that number 6 machine.
See that onboard we keep going to, thanks to our director, Sean Ambrose? Yeah, all you aspiring Retro Series drivers out there, do me a favor, whip out your old iPhone and just film like 5 or 6 of these laps so that you remember come your debut in this series at this track next year, what good old Georgie boy was doing with 45 laps to go. Back to Bobby Mikes and Richie Hearn, because we just can't seem to get enough of the hot dog and highlighter combo.
Trying to get clear.
I think Richie might have been clear and kept it pinched to be safe, and it opened the door for Bobby to come back. Richie might be able to do the old slideroo here. No, maybe not. Bobby, full send, keep it off the wall, Bobby Mikes. How about that move?
Well, and then you're going to look just behind them, and you see that red and white car? Yeah, leader's there. So just you want to add some gasoline to this situation.
Ryan Otis has lapped up to the 11th spot, and that is Scott Holmes, who he is trying to put a lap down, and that would leave us with just 10 cars on the lead lap, and Otis is going to get under Holmes here, but not going to clear him for the time being, although Holmes almost got into the wall.
He did. Rasmus on pit road.
Mike Rasmus pits for the final time. In fact, he's already done with his pit stop. Down and away, fuel only for Rasmus, with 39 laps and some change left here in the Dewar's 150 at New Hampshire.
The first of the front runners up there to make that final stop. God, this is just a dogfight between Bobby Mikes and Richie Hearn.
Finian D'Acunha coming to pit road. Mike Rasmus gave us a pretty good idea of how much time you lose by pitting under green there, at least if you're going to. He lost about a lap and a quarter, I would say. If that, maybe a lap and an eighth on the money. Oh, car on the wall in front of Otis. Is that Bobby Mikes? If he didn't get it, boy, he came close. Ryan Otis had to make a defensive move. Let's take another look. GSRC replay. Watch Ryan Otis pull up behind Bobby Mikes. Bobby up there racing Richie Hearn for position, and watch this. Well, you saw Ryan Otis yank the wheel. I'm not sure if Bobby got it or not, but man, he was close enough that Ryan Otis felt like he needed to make an evasive move. And Dustin Wardlow is coming now. He chopped another 1/10 and a half off that last lap. George Anzaldo again, 25.97. Chris Fowler currently in 5th. George Anzaldo's in 6th, trying to run him down, and we're going to show you the lap comparisons. And Anzaldo goes purple again, a 25.93, and look at this. In the last 5 laps, he is just chunking off. 1/4 second, 2/10, 1/10.5, 3/10, 1/4 second. I mean, he's up almost 1.5 seconds just over the last 5 laps. Chris Fowler comes across. Again, he's stuck in the 29s, and George Anzaldo comes across, and he runs a 25.94 on that lap and knocks 3 more tenths off of Chris Fowler. Before they get to pit road, Chris Fowler is going to have company from George Anzaldo.
Aaron Morgan to pit road. Another one of our front runners diving off. 57 laps since we last saw that 48 on pit road.
Taking a look at the 48 car. He is down and away. No, not yet. There he goes. That was a long stop, it felt like, for Aaron Morgan. Just felt like he sat there for a long time.
Yeah. Tail of the tape says 7 seconds, so.
Only 32 laps left.
I wouldn't think he did that much fuel.
In fact, his pit time was identical to Mike Rasmus, despite running an extra 9 laps. Let's check in on the battle for 12th now. This is James Paulson, Ricky Harden, Mike Rigney. It's Harden leading Paulson down there on the low side. Rigney's just behind him. Yep, here comes James Paulson to pit road.
Everything low down to 45 miles an hour. No pit road speed limiter. Drivers that raced last night going to have to adjust themselves for that.
Leaders coming. Ryan Otis announces it down the back straightaway as Dustin Wardlow has closed that gap to under a second. Ryan Otis says, all right, time to pit. Teammate is coming.
I think Otis is going to go for the overkill. Try and run a lap or 2 longer, set some blistering times. Hope that Otis gets stuck in traffic on the way out.
And Wardlow, remember, he also ran his first stint longer too. So he had 2 laps on Otis already. If he can do that, that means in theory he could get 3 or 4 laps here.
Yeah,
Ryan Otis, no tires.
No tires.
Away.
Wardlow still on track, but Wardlow has clean air. Otis
just went by Otis as well. And
Otis is going to be behind. He's going to be behind Bobby.
And Bobby Mike pitting too. Oh, Ryan Otis got a nose in front of him here. Oh, and he almost ran into him. I'm not sure he realized who that was. That could have been bad.
But now, was that just enough to get the Candyman ahead?
Check in on Dustin Wardlow, and we'll see when he decides to come. 26-0. How about George Anzaldo as pit stops continue is up to P2 right now. That won't cycle that way, but how about that for the series founder? And Wardlow across the line, back into the 25s at a 25.98.
Otis 26.34.
Boy, this is going to be close because Dustin Wardlow had really closed the gap. Oh, George Anzaldo almost ran over the pit entry wall. He might have got a speeding penalty. That was
here
close.
Here comes the Candyman. Real aggressive to pit road, 45 miles an hour.
Wardlow hit it perfect. George Anzaldo, I'm telling you, came in sideways, locked up, 15 miles an hour over speed. We'll go back and watch it, especially if it matters here. Let's watch the pit comparisons. You see the lane and stop times for Wardlow and for Otis. Wardlow's in. Where's Ryan Otis? He's going into turn 3 right now. Where's Dustin Wardlow?
Rolling.
Wardlow's down and away. 6.3 on the stop for Wardlow. Cut another second off on the lap time. Dustin Wardlow on the loud pedal. Here's Otis into turn 1. Wardlow
Got him.
Up through the gears. Dustin Wardlow is your new race leader by a mile. Look at that. Dustin Wardlow puts a half a straightaway on Ryan Otis on the undercut. And now the question is, did he put enough fuel in it? He was a full second full second less than Ryan Otis. Of course, it's not actually the race lead yet because we've still got cars cycling through. Richie Hearn is still out there, but he will need to come to pit road. But my, oh my, Dustin Wardlow, the only question is, did he put enough fuel in it at this point?
I'd hate to think he did. I've got to think that number 9 machine has just enough fuel to get to the end. When you look at the stop time, 6 seconds versus 6.7 to Ryan Otis. Made up a lot of time on entry, had that clean air. I mean, when you're going for that strategy to pass someone on the pit stop, it couldn't have worked out any more perfect for Dustin.
Speaking of undercuts, you know what else worked? George Anzaldo got around Chris Fowler by a bunch. In fact, George has Aaron Morgan in his sights, and last time by was 0.2 quicker than Morgan. And once we're done cycling stops, that will be a battle for 5th place. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. This is Bobby Mike, Scott Holmes, Mike Rasmus, and that's Ricky Harden pitting from behind them from 5th place. Paul Jenkins also in from 3rd, just in front of him. Rolling with Mike Rasmus. Midwest Simulations, Scott Rupp and his great company, the Spotlights. I'm here to tell you right now, if you don't have Spotlights and you are an iRacer, you are wasting valuable resources. They are incredibly affordable, and it is the single greatest upgrade, bang for your buck, you can make to your system. I assure you of that. Are there things that will help you go faster? Yes. A Sim Experience AccuForce wheel. Absolutely. The butt kicker helps you feel the track. Absolutely. But we're talking about dollar for dollar, bang for your buck. Spotlights change everything. Yaz, thoughts?
Nailed it. You pretty much nailed it. Having that extra tool that you have at your disposal is absolutely critical, especially with some of the passes that we've seen tonight. Really needing to know when you have that clear track up above you, below you, to be able to make those moves. Spotlights just it gives you that peace of mind, and that is worth so much time.
Aaron Morgan has cycled through to 5th now that pit stops are complete, and you're looking out through that big old piece of rear wing on these Lotus 79s at George Anzaldo, who is running him down at the clip of a 10th or more every lap. The 6 car in the 6th spot right now for the series founder, George Anzaldo, who would love nothing more than to get up there into the top 5 before this one is over with.
George is hanging on to it, coming up at turn 4. They're almost knocked the fence down.
George has 1 top 10 this season, still looking for his first top 5.
And that's a surprising stat line. I mean, George, in the early part of the season at the Oval, he was regularly qualifying up in the front end of the field, but just no racing luck to coincide with that.
Had a great run last night, too, in IndyCar. I couldn't tell you where he finished because, again, go watch the last 3 laps if you didn't watch it here. The Pocono race last night for the Lionheart Series on the IndyCar side of things. But, I know I ran up there in anywhere from 4th to 6th for a good chunk of the race. And I spent a long time around George, who made an early decision to stay out and pick up track position on tires, and surprised the heck out of all of us on 8-lap older tires, and hung with that lead pack the rest of the race. Again, couldn't tell you where he actually finished because fuel turned everything upside down in the last couple laps. But shout out to George. It's been a great week for him so far.
Back to the battle for 12th here. We've won this whole race with the 1 caution, but I had the sense, and Sean spotted this and gave him a little tip in the ear, that there could be something percolating here. You got Robbie Mikes, Scott Holmes, and then Mike Rasmus. So you got the pressure of having that lap or the lead lap car in and amongst there. Bobby and Scott have been kind of near each other the whole race.
Jason Bossi is right there, 2 laps down as well, but obviously with a ton of speed after dominating the early portion of this race.
This is where the kettle is brewing. I'm not saying that Bobby is going to wreck everything. I'm just and here we are on track. This is where it's happening.
Meanwhile, for Dustin Wardlow, there will be 12 laps remaining when he crosses the stripe, which he's doing just now. Wardlow's got to be thinking to himself, you guys want to wreck, that's fine. Do me a favor, wait till there's about 3 laps left. In fact, just in front of him, there's a battle for position between cars a couple laps down with Finian DeCunha and Sam Crow side by side. That's got to be a little unnerving. There's Wardlow. There's Richie Hearn just in front of him. Who's the last car on the lead lap at 9th, going now underneath Sam Crow. On board with the Candyman. Ten laps remaining for Dustin Wardlow. Looking for three-peat here at New Hampshire.
Everything that goes into winning one of these Lionheart Retro Series races, everything that's got to go right. Still maintaining about a 3-second advantage over Ryan Otis, so at least Dustin doesn't have that added pressure of having that battle for the win right near him. He's got a little bit of space. He doesn't have to go up there and make aggressive maneuvers, which at the end of these races, dealing with traffic like that, that is a wonderful advantage to have. Looking all over. A lot of single file racing going on. Finian and Sam Crow still fighting. That's a whale of a battle for 20th.
Battle for 19th is impeccable right now between Finian and Sam Crow. Words I wasn't sure I would utter 143 laps ago.
If 2020 has taught us anything, Jason.
Touché. It even found its way into iRacing.
Yeah. Look at that. Finian going back with a crossover all the way down. Oh! That was clear-ish.
Ryan Otis is right behind them like, guys, I really want a caution, but I don't want to be in it.
Yeah.
Here's the onboard with Ryan Otis.
You generally...
Champion. Boy, Finian looks like he's maybe backed off and realized that it might not be worth picking up an avoidable contact there, and Otis is going to go right by him. Dustin Wardlow crosses the stripe, 5 to go. Sorry, yes?
No, it's all good. You were saying actual things. I was just going to make a joke.
But that's why we pay you the big bucks.
Wait, you guys get paid? Anyways, everybody getting through there. It just I'm going to be watching as Otis now goes to get away. Wonder if Finian is going to be right back to him, because now Finian is under attack from Chris Reagan. That should settle that battle out, I think, for the time being. We've got 3 laps to go here.
We're in the window where the next flag ends it. As Wardlow comes off the corner and does take 3 to go. On season 2, Dustin Wardlow picked up the win by a little over 3 seconds over Michael Goodman. Last year, you'll remember, That great battle between Wardlow and Mark Cohn. Race ended under yellow. Wardlow defeated Cohn. Dustin's actually never led the most laps in this event. Alex Saunders led 145 of 166 in Season 2. Mark Cohn led 118 of 166 last year. Richie Hearn lets Dustin Wardlow go. And the Dewar's Candy Special comes out at turn 4 to the white flag. Well, I don't know if Dustin Wardlow's ever been to Loudon, New Hampshire, but if he's thinking about retiring sometime soon, may I suggest finding a real estate agent and looking around. It sure looks beautiful up there, and I tell you what, every time the Dewar's Candy number 9 rolls onto the track here, it looks mighty fine itself. A three-peat is in the cards for Dustin Wardlow. Bakersfield's own Dewar's Candyman wins the Dewar's 150 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and he does it running the fastest lap of the race on the final lap. You talk about the cherry on top of the sundae. Dustin Wardlow dominates the final stage of this one to beat Ryan Otis. Third place goes to Mike Rasmus. Over Little Train, Lionel Callisto and Aaron Morgan will hold off George Anzaldo for your top 5. But the story tonight is this man, Dustin Wardlow. Who can win 3 in a row at New Hampshire? The Candyman can. And we'll talk to him when we return here on the iRacing Esports Network and the Global SimRacing Channel. Back live on the HyperX post-race show, and the Dewar 150 is complete here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway on the iRacing Esports Network and Global SimRacing Channel. The Lionheart Racing Series powered by HyperX. When you're trying to claw your way to the top of the podium, it pays to have an ultra-comfortable, high-quality headset. Gives you the audio information you need to grab the checkered flag. From high-performance DRAM and SSDs to outstanding microphones, accurate mice, responsive keyboards, the legendary cloud line of gaming headsets. HyperX makes the gaming gear you need to succeed. Casual or pro, no matter your creed, color, or culture, we are all gamers. HyperX is always ready to game. Use the promo code LionHRT15 at HyperXGaming.com. And if you don't have a pair of those comfy HyperX headphones, the next segment, fear not, we're going to post up the Turn Racing finishing order for you to see with your eyes. Turn Racing, merging the gap between real and sim racing. Got a promo code here, too. It's Lionheart10 at turnracing.com. By the way, you ever get confused? LionheartRacingSeries.com has all of the promo codes. I found that out a couple months ago. Mind-blowing. The Candyman, Dustin Wardlow, goes three-peat at New Hampshire. Third consecutive win in the Retro Series for the Bakersfield native by almost 3 seconds over the points leader and his teammate Ryan Otis. Mike Rasmus just continues to prove that he would be a championship force to reckon with if he had a whole season in this series. Finishes third. Little Train, great run for Lionel. Almost caught Rasmus at the end there. Finishes in fourth. Aaron Morgan in fifth. George Anzaldo. Dustin stole the fastest lap of the race from him on the final lap. A great run for George there in sixth. Chris Fowler, David Kleimer's final car in the lead lap there in eighth. Richie Hearn and Chris Reagan, the teammates, both one lap down to round out the top 10.
In the 11th spot, Paul Jenkins, Robert Bikes there in the 12th spot. Old Bobby, the meat man. Scott Holmes there in the 13th spot. 14th, the Mike Rigney. Ricky Hart in the 15th spot with James Paulson. Tommy Ryan in tow behind him. 18th to Ryan Corrin. Sam Crow there getting the 19th spot away from Finian Ducana.
Looking back at the last 6 cars here, and boy, do you feel for classy Jason Bossy. He got his first career pole tonight, led all the way every lap up to the first pit stops. An unsafe pit exit caused him to have to come back in, serve a long penalty, and lose 2 laps. Tyson Landis, Tom Dryling, and Adam Young, Bruno Miranda, Matt Taylor, just not their night. All of them involved in incidents and eliminated from this race. Matt Taylor, in the only caution, came on lap 1 when he picked up that damage. 1 caution ties for the record for least amount of yellows in this event with season 2, which coincidentally was also won by the man we are bringing into the Sim Experience Victory Lane. The Sim Experience AccuForce steering system is the most advanced tuning features on the market. The AccuForce Direct Drive is second only to the real thing. Check out the entire line of Sim Experience products. Head on over to simexperience.com, and this man used a Sim Experience AccuForce version 2 to propel himself to his 3rd consecutive win here at New Hampshire in the Dewar 150. It is the Candyman himself, Dustin Wardlow. Dustin, congratulations, man. What a run, and a great job to calculate that undercut on the final pit stop, and then you just checked out. This place truly is the magic mile for you, my friend.
I can't believe it. Yeah, it's that last pit cycle. I didn't know where I'd come out, but I was happy to have a couple of fairly clean laps on low fuel after Ryan went in. The track opened up, and I think that was the difference, because he was hot, as were so many other guys. Just pit stops were biting people.
This is the 3rd consecutive year you've won this race, and it's the 3rd consecutive year that you did not take the lead until after the final pit cycle. Like, do you have like a crystal ball on your desk that you just check in the middle of this race, or like, what's the secret?
Clean visor. You just got to keep that visor.
There it is.
Hitting the button. Now, I enjoy riding around behind folks for the most part, and trying to save fuel, trying to get a little extra out of the car, and see if maybe a caution will come out or something like that after the guys in front of me go in. It didn't play out like that, but it does always play out quite nicely with the lighter fuel on the final stint, slightly lighter, and this car just always rotates a little bit better there. And I like a car that gets a little loose in the middle, or a car that you can make get loose in the middle, and it just always agrees with me after a bit. And last part of the run's always my quickest.
Certainly, that's always the case here. Great run for you tonight, and it's got to be pretty cool for you too, right? The Dewar's 150 and the Dewar's Candy Specials in Victory Lane.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? Yeah, I'd like to thank DewarsCandy.com. If you guys are looking for something unique as a gift, it's really hard to find something unique, and this taffy is not your regular taffy. I'd also like to thank HyperX, Butt Kicker, and of course Mark Cohn, who probably wishes he was here tonight. He had a strong run last year, and a little mishap, but the DMLC Racing Channel, and the league, and George Anzaldo for all that he does, and all of my teammates. A couple of them were missing tonight, but had a great time.
Well, congratulations, Dustin. Another great run. Great to have you back in the Sim Experience Victory Lane. That's Dustin Wardlow. He is the Candy Man, and Dewar's is victorious in the Dewar's 150 here, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Brian Yazik catching up with our championship points leader and second place finisher.
Well, from the thrill of victory to the agony of defeat, Ryan Otis in second spot. You had a great showing. The middle part of the race kind of fell into your lap. And then at the end, you just kind of got beat on pit strategy. Kind of walk us through your race, Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Congrats to Dustin. He definitely got me there at the end. So my whole pit strategy was, I was behind Jason Bossi there for the first stint, and I short fueled the first time. Kind of my whole plan was to try to jump him in that pit cycle. And it ended up being unnecessary because he ended up getting, I think, an unsafe exit or something and had a drive-through. So, I kind of thought it was going to work out okay. But then late in that second run, I ended up catching up to a little bit of traffic that was like just fast enough where I couldn't close the gap. And so the period of time on that stint where I really should have been putting in flyers, I was just kind of stuck in dirty air. And that kind of set the stage for Dustin to put in a couple of killer laps before the cycle, and then he just jumped me on it. So congrats to him. He did a great job.
You mentioned running in traffic, Ryan. In years past, I feel like it's been a little easier to navigate that dirty air, and then tonight just seemed much more difficult. How did that feel from the driver's seat?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. It was tougher to drive in traffic than I remember from years past. My approach when I was dealing with lap traffic, at least, was to dive in really shallow on entry just to cut the distance and kind of let them know I'm there. Because even if you're, a tenth or two faster per lap, it seems like you just stall out. It's just impossible to catch them. So that was kind of what I was trying to do in lap traffic. But really, when you're racing for position, you're basically stuck. I mean, you pretty much have to rely on the person in front of you making a mistake. And of course, that's pretty rare. With the guys in this league running up front. So yeah, it's just it was a tough one for sure.
I mean, we go from here, and we're talking about the dirty air. We go to Iowa, and an even shorter track and even more dirty air. Did you take anything away from today that maybe you can apply to the next week?
I think nail the pit cycle. That's my lesson for today, right? You want clean in laps, clean out laps, and you got to try to time it right with traffic, which to a certain extent that's just luck of the draw, but yeah, it definitely gives you a lot to think about.
All right, Ryan. Well, we'll let you go on that one. Catch you on down the road next week. Quick turnaround for the series. Congratulations on your second place, and we'll talk to you down the road there, Ryan.
Oh, yep. Thanks, man.
All righty. Jason, you've caught up with here Mike Rasmus, who's making a name for himself here in the series.
Sure is, Yaz. Mike Rasmus comes home in third here tonight. Fifth start for Mike. Fifth top 10, fourth top 5. I'd say you've adapted to this oval thing pretty quickly, Mike. Checking in on Mike Rasmus. Can you hear me, Mike? Testing 1, 2.
I forgot I programmed a button to talk. So
There you go. Yeah, I was just saying, man, you've sure seemed to catch on to these ovals pretty quick.
yeah, I'm good at the podiums, I guess. I'm not sure about the wins yet, but yeah, I really love New Hampshire, so it was really fun to drive here in this car.
Yeah, I'd say being down on yourself for finishing third but not winning at a track where the guy who won the race has now won 3 in a row here, and the guy who finished in second is the defending series champion. That's kind of like a win, right? Like, we're just going to go ahead and presume that Dustin and Ryan are going to be good. That makes you the best of everybody else. Look, I don't know about you, but if you come running the IndyCar series, every one of us strives to be third behind Sage Karam and Adam Blocker every week. So I feel like you got the same thing going on right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with stuff. I mean, Lionel was really fast at the end too. I was really worried he was going to catch me, but I'm glad things worked out the way they did with fuel mileage and stuff. I was like spending half that race doing math in my head trying to figure out how much fuel I needed for the end.
Yeah, you're an open setup road course guy. I got to imagine that fuel mileage doesn't come into play too terribly much there. So what's the single biggest challenge that you're still finding yourself face here with the combo of fixed setups and oval racing?
I mean, yeah, once you learn the setup for the track, it's all about fuel mileage and how to drive in traffic, and that's really a learning curve. I think it'll probably be a learning curve for each new oval that we run coming up. So Motegi was pretty difficult for me, and New Hampshire was all right because I'm pretty familiar with it, but the next ovals coming up will still be challenging for me.
Get another shot next week. Congratulations, Mike. Another great run. Glad to see you back here up on the podium. And I'm sure it's just a matter of time before we are talking to you first after one of these races.
Thanks, man.
Mike Rasmus comes home in the third position here tonight. Crazy. 5 starts, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. Yaz, why don't we give a little bit of love to the series founder?
Yeah, George, you had the middle part of that race is when your race seemed to come alive. You were ripping off purple lap times. Was it just everything clicking right for you there at the end, or through that?
You know what? I botched qual, so I got kind of stuck there in the middle to the lower back half of the field. So I felt really quick coming into New Hampshire. Kinsella made a really great set. Just the set really came alive. Obviously, as the fuel burned off, and obviously not taking tires, just the car rotated and loosened up throughout the run. Yeah, I finally got clear and got clean air, and it was just nearly flat out. And I was feeling great. I wound up passing a couple guys, and then passing some more people in the pit cycle. So just really happy to be able to contribute tonight, get some points for the team. Who knows what could have happened maybe if we had a better qualifying result, but definitely really happy with tonight's run.
You were laying down some great lap times there, and you were making those runs up through the field. It seemed like a lot of cars were struggling in dirty air. How was that finding you tonight?
You know what? I had a great line. Just I was entering the corners more shallow than the other cars, and kind of like Ryan said, just to kind of show a nose in there. But it seems as I was coming up through the field, I'd get the nose in there just a little bit more, and get some runs. Finally, I got around Chris Reagan and Bobby Mikas, who were fighting really hard, and I was just on their tail for so many laps. And it was actually at that point when I got them both and got clean. It was like just flat out nearly, and I was able to run down Chris Fowler, which was pretty cool because he was like almost 6 seconds ahead of me, and just ran out of laps. But yeah, I was definitely excited to show some pace tonight. I feel pretty strong on the ovals, and these are my only chances to really score some points here on the ovals. So like I said, I just felt really quick tonight and was happy to bring home a 6th place.
I mean, we're going off to a track next week. We'll let you go on that one, George. But I know next week, Iowa, that place has got a very special spot in your heart. Where are we gonna see that 6th car next week, buddy?
Oh man, definitely hoping to be charging up towards the front. I love Iowa. Just something about that track, just really just hits towards my driving style. I love the short tracks, maybe just as much as super speedways, but something about Iowa just yeah, and it's the only place I got to win. It's the league's been going 6 years strong, and I still cherish that one victory that I have. And I'm dying. I'm hungry for a win in the Retro Series. So that'd be great if I can get up there and bring one home for Raven Motorsports.
All right, George, we'll catch you out down the road next week. Have a good night, buddy.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Jason. Take care.
All right, Jason, let's I think it's time to get out of here. The track is they're going to give us some lobster on the way out. I mean, it's time to roll, man.
Well, I'm excited about the lobster now. That was news to me. I like when you fill me in. You know me, Yaz. I'm always down to eat. Great job to everybody here tonight. Want to thank a couple of people that make this happen. It starts with our presenting sponsor here for the Lionheart Retro Series, DMLC Racing Channel. If you're looking for entertaining sim racing content, check it out. DMLC Racing Channel on YouTube and Facebook. Follow 2019 Retro Series Driver of the Year, Mark Cohn, as he weaves and dodges and ducks and dives and dodges with cat-like reflexes around the Lionheart Series and a bunch of other leagues around iRacing. HyperX, whatever you play. However you play it, HyperX knows we're all gamers. Use the promo code LionHRT15. HyperXGaming.com. Sim Experience is second only to the real thing. SimExperience.com for that active force and butt kicker. Make sure you feel what you've been missing. Use the promo code LION2020 at thebuttkicker.com. Bunch of other sponsors help make the Lionheart Series go left and right week to week. Check them out, LionheartRacingSeries.com, if you want to find direct links to any of these sponsors you see on the page right now. Original music we use here at GSRC comes courtesy of June Milan. There's some contact info on the screen for you for June, as well as some of the other companies that help. As well as some of the other companies that help make these broadcasts possible here. Want to remind you, our next Lionheart Retro Series broadcast coming up here on August 27th. Hey, that's what is that? That's next week for the Lionheart Retro Series. Man, look at that. Yes, what is this? I thought our union had worked this out to where you and I got a week off.
Yeah, COVID.
That didn't happen. Ah, that's what happened. Yeah, all right. I knew we had something we could blame it on. Next week, I wrote Phoenix Raceway in my script, and that's definitely wrong. We're going to Iowa, but I know why I did that, because it's the Thumbs Up Cancer Down race. And I'm used to that being at Phoenix. It's in Iowa as well. Thumbs Up Cancer Down 200 Speedway. Be there. It's round 12 for the Retro Series right here on the IESN and GSRC. Speaking of, head to globalsimracingchannel.com. Follow us on social media. Got a bunch of other great series coming up across the GSRC stable of broadcasts here on the YouTube. Finally, on behalf of the crew tonight, Brian, Sean, Dougie, I want to thank you all for watching. Dustin Wardlow wins the Dewars 150 at New Hampshire. Until next time, remember, the only one who remembers when you come home in second is your wife and your dog. Good night, everybody.